We're back with another video on weird and funny things about living in Portland, Oregon. So stick around, we're getting after it right now. If you're new to our channel, hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell so you can be a part of our community. We put out content every week on all things Portland life, and we would love for you to be a part of our community. If you are thinking about making a move to the Portland metro area, all of our contact information is listed below. Don't hesitate, don't be shy. We love getting the calls, emails, and texts, and we can help you make a smooth move to Portland. I've done a video before on the funny, quirky things about living in Portland, Oregon. You guys absolutely loved it. I heard a lot of feedback from you, which is great because I think if you know Portland, some of them speak to you. And if you don't know Portland and you're trying to figure out where the heck you're moving to and what's all the quirky, weird things about it, then these videos are kind of fun, aren't they? So these ones are a little more quirkier and fun, in my opinion, than the last time I did a video like this. So let's dive in. All right, the first one is our airport carpeting. It's like we're the only state that I'm aware of that really identifies with their carpeting in the actual airport. So one of the things you're gonna find quirky and weird is that a lot of your friends and family will take photos of their feet on the Portland airport carpeting when they're about ready to leave Portland. Yes, that's correct. That is a standard tradition here in Portland. So our airport carpeting is just part of our culture. And they recently did a $2 billion renovation, if you can believe it, on our airport. It's absolutely beautiful. But they decided to keep the carpet, or at least, do the same carpet as they did before. And I heard they hired out to have it done, because that's how, classic it is for us Portlanders. We're very passionate about those kind of symbolisms, and carpeting is no different. So when you fly through Portland and you see that iconic carpeting all over, that is, decades of people, coming to the table and saying, when you do that $2 billion renovation, you better keep the same look of the carpet. And they sure enough did. So, as you become a Portland native or live here, you're going to have to do that. Take a picture and post it somewhere or send it to a friend or family member, because it's just part of who we are. Okay, the next one is gas stations and etiquette. We, for decades here in Oregon, we're one of the few states in the union that had, service people help us pump our gas for decades. And just in the last year, we are now in the club of self-serve. Now you can do both. Most gas stations have an attendant waiting for those like myself who were born and raised in Portland, used to not pumping my own gas. They're there to make sure you stay in check. So there are self-serve lanes and there are service lanes, and you get to choose. But for a lot of us, like I have born and raised here, I'm not used to pumping my own gas. I'm gonna be really honest. It took me 4 or 5 times to pump my own gas before I started feeling like I got the hang of it. I know it sounds like I live in the dark ages, but the truth is like us Oregonians had it great for decades. You just sit in your warm, cozy car. Some nice person comes up to you, pumps your gas, gives you your receipt, and off you go. Well, they, made it legal for us to not have to have a service person do that for us, and we can now pump our own gas. So I feel like I'm part of the club now, and every time I do it, I feel proud of myself because, you have to operate the credit card machine, and then you have to, put the gas in the gas tank. And so for a lot of us, it's kind of a foreign thing to do. But I'm feeling more and more independent every time I do it. But yeah, it's a thing. But like now it's like the etiquette, like it's almost like we pull in and there's still the service people there expectantly waiting to help us like pump the gas. So it's kind of a funny thing because like if you look around, you're going to see that gas attendant like sitting somewhere on the sidelines waiting for somebody to kind of wave their hand like, I need help. And actually I helped somebody recently at the gas station who was probably just like me before I was, 5 pumps in, who really didn't know how to operate everything. So, we're still trying to figure out like how to pump our own gas here. And I gather that because of a lot of the gas stations are keeping attendants on standby, that there's still going to be a large population that are going to take advantage of that for quite some time. But it's kind of funny to just, like let the cat out of the bag and let everybody know that, yeah, we don't pump our own gas here. That we haven't been pumping our own gas. And as simple as it sounds, it's sort of a foreign thing for us. So, Yeah, so just be aware that, when you pull up into a gas station, if there's somebody looking at you that is ready to help, it's probably somebody who's thinking that you may not know how to pump your own gas. Well, if you're from out of state, you're gonna be like, hey, I got this. The next thing that might sound quirky to people coming from out of state is that we sell a lot of our own eggs on the side of the road. You'll see a lot of just like makeshift signs that say eggs here. Several years ago, having your own chickens and chicken coops kind of exploded. There was actually a time when I was selling real estate and I said, if you have chicken coop or hot tub, like you have the two most desirable features in a home here in the Portland metro area. Because there was a time when literally I was like, I want a house with a hot tub and I want to be able to put chickens in my backyard. In a lot of places you can have chickens in your yard. Some people actually look for property residentially, not acreage wise, where they can actually have chickens. So if that's you, welcome to Portland. But it then becomes a really big deal to be like, hey, I've got all these extra chicken eggs. And then you'll see signs out on roads that say, that they sell their chicken eggs. And when chickens were, really expensive in the last couple of years, let me tell you, those things probably were pretty beneficial to make a little money on, or at least get them cheaper than you could at the grocery store. I do have a family member who constantly is giving me their chicken eggs. Thank you. I appreciate it, because they are constantly having too many. They don't actually eat that much eggs. But they've got chickens and they're always willing to either give them away to friends and family or sell them to people in their area or neighborhood. So you're going to see a lot of that. Those just signs on the side of the road that somebody is directing you down their pathway to buy some chicken eggs directly from the chicken owner. Okay, the next thing that's a little bit funny is coffee. As you know, coffee is a really big deal here in Portland. And I myself consider myself to be a very, very high consuming coffee drinker. And I love the fact that we have all kinds of coffee, artisan and all that stuff, way beyond, the retail stuff like Starbucks. But there is something kind of funny that I think is mostly to the Pacific Northwest, and that are coffee huts. So a lot of times if you're in a particular area of Portland, if you Google coffee near me, you're going to see different coffee stands everywhere. And you're like, oh, that's kind of like a Dutch Brothers or Starbucks drive-thru, but it's a locally owned one. And then you pull in and you realize it's like a hut. They look like little pole barns or, tool sheds or whatever, kind of made into a coffee drive-through. Nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people, know that they're not going to be able to sit down anywhere around it. So you kind of have to take it for what it is. They're usually locally owned and, they're case by case as far as their quality. But they're huts, you're going to be driving through them or walking up to the window to order your coffee, but they're kind of everywhere, I've noticed. And we have some rather unique ones in town. Probably the most uniquest one I can think of is Bikini Girls Coffee. I personally have never driven through that drive-through, but as the name implies, the ladies serving you are going to be wearing bikinis. So if coffee and bikinis, bikini-lad ladies are your thing, that's very Portland-esque. You see where I'm going with this? There's just a lot of uniqueness to some of these coffee huts. So when you start Googling, coffee near me, just make sure if you're open to a coffee hut of some kind, we've got them too. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about that's rather funny is our dress attire here in Portland. Let's just say we are casual. Sometimes I watch these channels that talk about like selling multi-million-dollar homes in like California or New York, and the way these people are dressed to the nines, it's like, how long did it take them to get dressed in the morning is what I want to know. But that is not the dress attire in Portland. We are ever so casual. In fact, somebody mentioned recently that if you close your eyes and dig into your drawers and put an outfit on going in blind, that's kind of how Portland people dress. I'm not going to deny, I see a lot of people really underdressed in Portland. Sometimes it looks like they're wearing the darn pajamas. Sometimes it looks like they did no coordination of any kind. You sometimes wonder if they even cleaned the outfit that they're wearing, but it is very dressed down here. Now, I dress business casual. We wear a lot of jeans, a lot of vests. I talk a lot about that in our videos. We don't dress to the nines. We're not, top hats and stiletto heels or anything like that around here by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I think it actually would make people feel uncomfortable if you overdressed in Portland. We dress for comfort. We dress for weather, and you can look stylish. A lot of times I talk to my colleagues, we wear blazers with jeans. We wear jeans all of the time here in Portland, but we just have a more dressed down business casual than most areas of the West Coast, in my opinion. But sometimes you see people dressed, in Portland and you wonder, did you just roll out of bed? Okay. It's the God's honest truth. There is, a very casual vibe here, and sometimes it's a little too casual. So if you're looking to move somewhere that everybody's into high fashion and looking good and all that, that is definitely not Portland. In some respects, you can appreciate it because living here, you can dress comfortably like I am today. This is very normal wear for Portland, and it's perfectly suitable to meet up with friends or colleagues or clients in this. But for some people, they want to dress more, a lot more, fancy. And, you can do that, but it's just, you're not gonna see a lot of people dressing that way here in the Portland metro area. Okay, I've talked about this one before in other videos. I'm gonna bring it up again, and it's because it's definitely worthy of bringing up over and over again. And that is that we don't use appropriate rain gear here in Portland. So Portland has a bit of a mist and a drizzle typically for our rain. We don't have that downpour like you do in a lot of states where it just comes in hard and fast. It can drizzle all day for days on end. And so Portlanders are a little bit more inconvenienced by umbrellas because of that. And we don't typically always wear rain jackets with our hoods up. That's probably, you do see that, but for the most part, people are like, if they're going to walk around a block, they're just not going to even bother with rain gear. Yeah, I know. It sounds crazy. So it's just one of those things where if you have an umbrella out and you're using an umbrella or requesting an umbrella, you're going to be seen as not a Portlander, not a native. Now, maybe you did your hair that morning and you really don't want to screw it up, or maybe it matters to you to stay dry. But most Portland people, if we're going to go out and about, if we're going to go out for a long walk, you will see people wear, a rain jacket with a rain hood. Very, very rarely do we see people with umbrellas that are locals. I have a view out of my home office where I watch people all the time walk their dogs down the street, and it is very, very few and far between where I see an umbrella come out. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I saw an umbrella come out, and it has been pouring rain in some cases, and people just wear appropriate rain gear, like a jacket that has a hood on it. But in general, if people are just going to go out and about and it's drizzling or misting, which it does quite a bit here, they're just not going to even bother with anything. They're just going to, walk to their destination and back. And that's that. They get a little rain on them, a little wet, so be it. That's just the way it is. Another thing that is a little bit funny and quirky here is we tend to put on our snow tires. Yes. You're thinking, does it snow in Portland? Kinda, sorta, not really. It doesn't. We don't typically have significant big snow long duration events. Okay. So back east, people are used to getting feet of snow and it just stays on the ground for months on end. Well, here in Portland, we may have a snow event, may last a day or two. At worst, it's going to last 3, 4, 5, 6 days, but you'll be darned. Most of us will at least get snow tires put on our car, because in the event of a snow event, and I've talked about this in other videos, we don't know what to do with ourselves. We have a lot of hills. We're worried about ice. Everybody closes down. It is a thing here in Portland that we don't know what we're doing when it's snowing. So we're going to be so overly prepared. Yeah, we don't use umbrellas when it rains, but you'll be darn to know that we're going to put on some snow tires in order to drive around in what may or may not be a snow event for the year. And if it does snow and it's an inch, oh my gosh, we absolutely have to have those snow tires on. And at the sight or sound or the news says we may have a snow event, Les Schwab is going to be jam-packed for days. You better get there at 6:30 in the morning to be on the quick wait list to get your snow tires on, because we will freak out even if they talk about it on the news that it might actually happen. So snow tires, do we use them? No. Oh, and you better get them off by April so you don't get pulled over and fined. I think there's a date late April when you're not supposed to have them on your car anymore. Just make sure you follow the rules. But snow tires, it's kind of funny. You can roll down your window, you can hear all the snow tires. Everybody's driving around with snow tires on. And yet we don't know if we're even going to need them ever. Okay, and the last funny thing is pedestrians and bike riders have more rights than we who have cars, or at least we feel that way deep down in our souls. As a driver of a car, you will notice that bikers will oftentimes drive their bikes like they are driving their car, and that's because they can. As well as pedestrians, they have more rights than we do as cars. You are on the low man on the totem pole when you drive a car in the roads here in Portland, because pedestrians and bikers have the right of way. Now, it makes you fear for your life, their life, everyone's life, when you're driving your car. You just feel like you're being put in your place when you're driving along, and all of a sudden a biker shows up, and you better give them all the room in the world. You better yield to them, all the things. But like when a biker shows up, correct me if I'm wrong, Portlanders, raise your hands. Doesn't it feel like, oh my gosh, you're like on red alert to slow down and give them enough room, and you can't pass them. And, even if they're annoying you or going way too slow or not following the rules, you better follow the rules. So just know that if you're a pedestrian or a biker, you have way more rights than we do. And we need to make sure we are like extra, extra cautious. I'm always cautious anyway, because I'm always worried, like I'm not going to see them and something's going to happen. But in general, like they get to own the road when they hit it. So just beware when you're driving around Portland, you see a biker, you see a pedestrian, you better start to stop, slow down, let them in, let them do their thing. You just sit there driving and yield all day long because they're in control and you are not. All right, that's the end of my list for today. I'm sure I'll do another video on funny, quirky things about Portland, because sometimes I think of these things and I take little notes, and I always think it'd be great to update a video on it. But if you thought I missed something, or you want to bring up a topic that you think is funny or quirky about living in Portland, drop it in the comments below. Perhaps we will add it to the next video, and we'll see you guys on the next video. All right, see you later.